Welcome back to another episode of the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling podcast. Today's episode is going to be a solo episode by myself, Liz. I'm going to be talking all about whether you should be attending these reseller events. If you are on social media and you follow some of the bigger name resellers, you've probably seen them post about these reseller events. Just last month, List Perfectly had the camp listing party that was held in Phoenix. They had some big names like Rally Roots, Harry Tornado, Commonwealth Picker, Sunny from Las Vegas. So there was a lot of different speakers that came out to that particular conference. Harry Tornado is going to have his own FlipCon that's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's also the Boss Reseller Remix in Vegas. That's going to be October 16th through the 19th. So there are a lot of bigger conferences out there for you guys to attend. I don't know if they're going to have it this year, but last year, the Flea Market Flippers, Rob and Melissa, asked Casey and I to be part of their Reseller Summit. And if you watch on YouTube and ever see me with this water bottle, this was actually something that they sent Casey and I for being part of their Reseller Summit. But we were there to be guests to talk all about selling private label products on Amazon. That was a really cool event to be part of, and it was a lot of fun. So if they're going to do that again this year, I'll make sure to let you guys know on social media or mention it in an upcoming episode. Not only are there the bigger reselling conferences, but there's also smaller reselling events, a lot of local meetups. Probably wherever you live, there's got to be some sort of reseller meetup that a couple of resellers do just to kind of get together and catch up and network and learn from each other. I know here in Phoenix, there is a Facebook group for East Valley resellers, and they try to do a monthly meetup. So definitely go on Facebook, look to see if there's any reseller groups in your area, or just go on social media and try to find other resellers in your area. Maybe somebody that you can connect with, have coffee with. Melissa, Capture Your Style, we've had her on the podcast, and her and I try to get together every month for coffee, catch up, share things. And it's just really nice to have somebody locally who's also a reseller, and really just somebody else who is a reseller. Because if you are just starting, you get so excited about reselling, and it's something that you try to talk to people about. And some people look at you like a deer in headlights, like they don't understand what sourcing means or how to look up items, or they don't know what certain brands are. So it's just nice to talk to somebody who's also a reseller and can understand your lingo. And you never know if that's going to turn into something more, because these reseller events, you get to network with people, and really it's just bringing people together. So I want to talk later in the episode about some of the benefits about attending these events, and then some of the cons that you should really think about. Like, should this be something that you're spending the money on? It's an expense, or is it something that you should be spending the time on? So just really kind of getting you to think about if reseller events are for you. But first off, I want to share some of my experiences with attending these reseller events. If you listen to the podcast, you know that Casey and I just don't resell. We also sell private label products on Amazon. So back in 2016, when we first started selling products on Amazon, we started with books. We learned from Reezy Resells, that kind of transitioned to retail arbitrage. And then Casey found Kevin David. Kevin David had a YouTube channel that he pretty much had just started, and Casey found it, and he was sharing all of his information about selling private label products on Amazon. So Casey started following him. He started watching his videos, sent them to me, and the private label business model really made sense to us. And what we liked the most about it at the time, you bought everything from the supplier and they would ship it directly into Amazon. So you would not hold on to any products at the time. You never even touched the product. It went from the supplier to the Amazon fulfillment centers. And for us, that was the type of business model we were looking for, because at the time, Casey was traveling 21 days a month. He was an auto damage adjuster. He was chasing hailstorms. He was a catastrophe adjuster. And he wanted me to travel with him. And we knew if we were doing a retail arbitrage, because we tried that for a while. I tried to sell books out of the hotel room. I brought all of the shipping supplies with us. I had boxes in the hotel room, my scale, box cutter, tape, every supply that you would need to buy things and then ship them into Amazon. And that to us just didn't seem like something that we could really build into something that would eventually allow Casey to leave his corporate 6-figure job. Private label was something that we wanted to go all in on, and we discovered Kevin David, and through him was how we ended up just going in on private label. The private label model was going to allow me to travel with Casey, and we wouldn't have to hold on to a bunch of inventory like we would if we had to do books or retail arbitrage. At the time, Kevin David was just about to launch his FBA Ninja course. And so we knew that we wanted to purchase this course. We wanted to learn more about private label. There wasn't a lot of information out there. Now you can go to Jungle Scout. They've got, Seller University on Amazon. There's so much free information out there that you don't need a course now. But at the time, we knew that we needed to buy that when it came out. So we spent the $997. And it honestly, at the time, was the best $1,000 we could have ever spent, because it has allowed us to have Casey do this full time with me. So it definitely was worth it. But with that $1,000 course, we also got access to his private Facebook group where he would go on and do Facebook Lives. You could ask questions directly to him and he would answer. And that was very valuable for us. As we were traveling throughout the country, we contacted him, and we were going to be in the city that he lived in. And he lived in Denver at the time. He was renting some apartment in downtown Denver. We asked him if we could meet him and meet up with him. And he's like, well, why don't you try to host a meetup then? And we were like, that's a really good idea. We hosted Kevin David's very first meetup in Denver, Colorado. We organized it. We found a place. We set out the invite in the Ninja group. And there were 6 other Amazon sellers that showed up. Actually, somebody who we still are friends with today. His name's Jason. He is such a nice guy. And we were so glad to make that connection. But that was something that was so cool. We actually got to sit down with him. We got to pick his brain, hear things that he had to say. He gave so many good tips to us that we were like, wow, this was definitely worth it to organize the meetup. And it kind of let him know that we were into everything that he was doing, and that really helped build our relationship with him. And so then that small meetup, I don't know if it was that, but after that, he decided that he wanted to host a Ninja Con. So that was going to be his FBA Ninjas. That's what we were called. And he was going to host this, but it was going to be in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And after the Denver meetup, Casey and I were so pumped. We were excited. Our private label products were already successful and starting to sell. And we just were all in on this. And it just was really exciting and motivating and inspiring. And we decided that we were going to invest, and we were going to go down to Mexico and attend his NinjaCon. And plus, who wouldn't want to go down to Mexico? That was the perfect location. So we went down there, and he had a bunch of different speakers. Some of them at the time were talking about running Facebook ads. Some were talking about it was kind of the beginning of drop shipping. So we've got to learn about that. Other things like how to brand, how to really build a good Amazon listing. So there was a lot of good value there. But I love that it was a full house. There had to have been over 100 people there. And it was such a cool experience right around the Super Bowl. And I remember that because I remember the conference. By the last day, we were in the bar watching the Eagles, and I believe the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So in Puerto Vallarta, we ended up networking and meeting so many people. It was amazing. And then after that, Kevin David hosted other meetups. So we went to his in San Diego, Las Vegas, Austin, Texas. Anywhere he had a meetup, we ended up going because we didn't want to miss anything. And I think one of the coolest meetups that he had was in San Diego, and that's where he was at the time. We got to go to his property, which was definitely over $1 million house. What I really liked about his meetup was that one, he had different types of speakers. And he did it like kind of round table-ish. So it was it looked like it at night, it's probably a club, but every single table had a different speaker. They would have like their individual like little presentation. It was like a mini presentation, and you could sit there and you could talk to people. There was one that I remember, OD Productions, he was affiliate marketing. There was Graham Stephan, and he was talking about real estate. David Arnett, he was there. He was talking about the Facebook ads. And then there was a couple other ones with like other topics related to, selling on Amazon, advertising, marketing, things like that. And then Vegas, that was pretty cool. That was actually at a mansion, and they would have pool parties, and I thought it was really neat. I learned so much. Would I attend one right now? Absolutely not. Because I think that they kind of lost their value. I don't even think he sells on Amazon anymore. He just sells courses. So I would not attend another one of his events. However, I do think at the time, there was so much value for us, and really not just the knowledge that we gained at those meetups, but also the people that we met. So if you listen to the podcast, RB Great Lakes, Carolina and Eric, we actually met them the very first NinjaCon that Kevin Data had. And we have stayed friends with them. They've come out to visit us. They've stayed at our house. So through these networking events, we have met some really good friends. Another meetup I went to Hustler Hacks, Glenn. He came to Phoenix and he was doing a meetup. I went with my friend Brad. The meetup started at the Nike store at Arizona Mills Mall. And then after that, we went to Ross. And after that, we went to the restaurant Claim Jumpers, where there was quite a few people. But I ended up sitting next to a guy named Josh. He is Oblivious Kicks. He's been on the podcast, and I'm really good friends. Casey and I are really good friends with him and his girlfriend, Tyler. And we have learned so much from Josh. He is a sneaker seller. He has more sneakers than I've ever seen in a room in my life. He knows exactly what to look for. We've gone to different sneaker cons with him. We went to one in Phoenix, Denver. We've gone to Kobe Swap Meet in San Diego. And just really, we have learned so much from Josh. He is a wealth of knowledge. If you are not following him on Instagram, you should. He's also known as Oblivious Kicks. And if you have any questions about selling sneakers, he definitely will have the answer. All right, so let's get into what are the benefits of attending these reseller events. So I would say the first thing is going to be networking. Even if the speakers don't have the best content for you, I would say just networking and meeting other resellers in person is so beneficial. You meet like-minded people. It's nice to chat with people who understand reselling. And that's the best thing about reselling. There are so many different ways to do it. You might meet somebody who only sells on Facebook Marketplace or Poshmark or Mercari. There's people who sell on all of them. Maybe some just do drop shipping. There's just so many ways that you can sell items online that just meeting people, learning from them, networking with them, connecting with them, exchanging information, following them on social media, and you just meet people that you didn't know about before. And you never know who you meet will turn into a lifelong friend. For example, Eric and Carolina, they live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We still call them at least once every few weeks, and we talk to them, we check in. They have an RV rental business. So they started selling private label products on Amazon. That avenue didn't work out for them, and they shifted to RV rentals. So we've learned a lot from them if that's something that we want to do down the road, but also we gained two really good friends. Same with Josh, Oblivious Kicks, him and Tyler. We've actually taken trips with them before. We stayed at Tyler's family's house in Colorado and Denver when we went to SneakerCon with Josh. And we've been to Puerto Vallarta with Josh for his 30th birthday. So you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to click with, and you never know who's going to turn into a lifelong friend. These events are business expenses. So yes, some of the conferences like the camp listing party, I believe it was $350 per person. At one time, there were discounts. I don't know if that was with it, but let's say it's $350 to $400. That seems like a lot, but if you spread it over a few days, it's really not that much per day. I think it included everything, meals, you probably got a grab bag or something like that. And then you do have to pay to get there. You have to pay for a car if you need to rent a car, hotel room, things like that. You could go sourcing. That's always fun in different areas. It is a business expense, so you can write it off, which is a bonus. And really, that's worth it to me because it is something that you want to invest in your reselling business. Reselling, you have to eventually, in order to grow, you have to invest into it, whether that is to attend these reseller events or to invest in software or something that's going to help your business. You will definitely learn tips that will help you grow. I know some of the aha moments I've had are when I'm listening to different speakers and they might say something where it just clicks. And I'm like, you are a genius. I don't know how I never thought of that. So you will learn things from other resellers. And the same with probably why you're listening to this podcast. Most likely you are a newer reseller, or maybe you are just trying to up your reselling game. There's different reasons why people listen to reselling podcasts, but one of the things you probably get is a lot of knowledge. We are the ones, Ashley and I, when we're talking about different things, we've experienced these mistakes or failures or successes or things that help us. And we just want to share our experiences. And with reselling, everyone has different experiences. I sometimes don't know all of the answers, but I love to learn. And I think that's probably just the teacher in me from being a teacher. I want to keep learning. I want to be in a room where I don't know the most, because if I don't know the most, then I'm going to be learning from other people. That means that they know more than I do, and I'm perfectly fine with that. These speakers are motivating and inspiring. A lot of these people that are the speakers, when you get done listening to them, you are pumped up. You're ready to go thrifting at Goodwill. You're ready to start cross-listing. You're ready to start selling on these different platforms. Like, it's just so motivating, inspiring. Let's be real. Reselling can get lonely. And oftentimes I do find myself reaching for motivation. I love listening to people who are more successful than I am, that have more experience. It motivates me and inspires me to do better. Let's talk about what are some of the cons of these reseller events. I would say the first thing is you have to take off time to get there. Not everybody is a full-time reseller. Many of you have full-time jobs or you have families. Chances are you'll have to take off a few days at a time in order to attend them, which can be challenging. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest cons, is just finding time off. And then also, we are all so busy that it might not fall on a week that you can even attend if you can take that time off. These events, I feel like, are only valuable if you're going to learn enough to truly better your business. So if I were to think about going to one of these events, I would look to see who are the speakers, what are the topics going to be? Is it going to be something that in the end I am going to learn things from? Some of the content could be aimed towards beginners, which for me, I would want something that's a little bit beyond a beginner reseller information or content. What I liked about some of the Kevin David meetups that we attended was it was an Amazon conference, but there was a lot of different topics that we got to learn about. However, like the Vegas one we went to, that was the last one I think he had. And that one, it was more like a mastermind event. Like everyone was in the mansion and it really was just people chatting with each other. There was no plan. There was no speakers, things like that. So I didn't think that that one was of value. It kind of was a waste of our time. I would say the only good thing about that Vegas meetup was we did get to hang out with our friends, Eric and Carolina, our friend Yu Ping that we met. She's actually the sourcing warrior. If you are listening and you are interested in private label, she has a YouTube channel and she is amazing. She is the sweetest person. And then also our friend Matt was there. So that was really cool to see them. But besides seeing them, I felt like I didn't learn a darn thing. And then another thing to think about, which I think is kind of a con, what I'm noticing is many of these events tend to have the same speakers, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. If they're going to have the same speakers at each one, I just hope that the speakers are speaking about different topics or changing up their content. But on the other hand, if they are having some of the same speakers at these bigger reselling events, maybe you couldn't attend one and you could attend the other, and then that way you could see your favorite speaker or your favorite reseller. So those would be things to think about. So in the end, I hope this episode gave you a little insight on the benefits, the cons, some of the things that I experienced attending these reseller meetups. I highly recommend, if you are in an area where you can attend one, whether it's a local or maybe a bigger conference, definitely do it, try it out, see how you like it, meet, network, get inspired, get motivated to resell. The one that I really want to attend would be the Boss Reseller Remix in Vegas. It seems like a lot of fun. They have a lot of energy. They have great speakers. And I feel like that one I would really vibe with. Hopefully I can attend that one this year. If you're going to attend any of these reseller conferences, or maybe you know of a meetup in your area, let us know in the comments down below, or reach out to us on our private Facebook page, which is the Daycheckers Facebook community, or on Instagram. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and until the next one.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
Anything we mentioned in this episode will be linked down below in the show notes or description down below.
Be sure to share this episode with anyone you think it will help, and follow us on social media at P2D Podcast.
Thanks again for listening. Keep working towards that Daycheck.